Did that look like a basketball team tonight? A team, not a good team or a bad team. I'm talking about a team, a group united together with the same goal and same purpose. Did that look like the Kings tonight? Or did it look like a roster full of extremely talented individuals who are not cohesive with one another at all? That's what it looked like to me this evening as the Kings get blown out on their home floor by the Golden State Warriors 132-108. We're breaking it all down, plus comments you need to hear from Kings interim head coach Doug Christie right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News, and tonight I'm disgusted. Right? Was that the worst loss of the season for the Sacramento Kings? No, it was not. But considering this is the first of their final 27 games, their home stretch of the season, in a position where they absolutely have to win, let alone against a team in the Golden State Warriors that coming into tonight's game, the Kings were tied with, but held the 9th spot because of tiebreakers. Now they fall down to the 10th and final play-in spot. This is the time of year where you need to be hitting your stride. And is one loss the nail in the coffin for this Kings team? No, but until they actually start to look like a basketball team, there's no reason to have any faith that anything will turn around. We're going to touch on that. There are some amazing comments from Doug Christie after the game, a very frustrated, bothered, upset, whatever word you want to use. Doug Christie I have about 2 minutes of just powerful stuff from Doug that I'm going to play for you here in just a second. But look, I'm trying not to overreact, and I'm probably not doing the best job at it, to be honest with you, to, again, just one loss. But here was your opportunity at home, recognizing the stakes. You got the All-Star break to regroup. You got at least one practice day together. I know not a lot is going to change from one practice day, but at least you got a little bit of time to work together as a group. And you came out and played your most disjointed, inconsistent, selfish, ISO-heavy offensive performance that we've seen so far out of this group. This is the worst that they have looked together, and it's coming off of a break and practice time, right? Offense, the strength of this Kings roster sure as hell is in the defense. We know the defense sucks. Wow, the Kings gave up 130 points again. Get used to that. That's going to happen pretty much every single night, more than likely, for the remainder of this season, or at least 120. We know defensively this team sucks. Offensively, though, with the roster that they've created, that's what they've had to, that's what they say where they're going to hang their hat on, right? Offensively, the Kings have to be a top 5 offense in the NBA again if they want any chance of making any sort of playoff run, and they have the talent to do it. That's what this team is getting back to. Their strength on the offensive end of the ball. Zero cohesion. Complete individual play, right? Isolation heavy, going away from the things that work. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan had a great game tonight. He had 34 points on 10 of 14 shooting from the field. Great. Good job, DeMar. It's just because his shots were falling. And I'm not blaming DeMar for tonight's loss. He certainly needed more help. But at the same time, he doesn't get a get-out-of-jail-free card just because his shots, coming the majority in isolation, were falling. The ball movement is non-existent with this group, right? The ball is sticky. You have 3 of your 5 starters that are ISO-heavy creator guards, all of them primarily 2 guards. Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and you have thrown them together like this is a fantasy basketball league or you're playing pickup at Cal Fit and expecting to be able to compete with NBA squads. I know the Golden State Warriors aren't that great of a basketball team. They looked a whole lot more together and cohesive tonight than the Sacramento Kings did. That's why they beat the brakes off of Sacramento in this game. Nobody else on this Kings team had above 14 points. Domantas Sabonis had 14. I think all of the other Kings starters had 13 points. 24 turnovers, which is a season high. 24 turnovers. It has been a major problem since all the trades that this team has made. To be expected to some extent, but you would expect after practice time in the gym together, working together, understanding each other a little bit better, you would expect things to get better, not get to the worst it's been, not just with this group, but it's been this entire season. 24 turnovers leading to 38 points for the Golden State Warriors. A team, and I'm talking about the Kings here, not the Warriors, a Kings team that is as far off of the same page. They're not even in the same novel. They're not even in the same series. They're in different libraries. That's how not on the same page this group is, and they look tonight. What happened to the Domantas Sabonis Malik Monk two-man game that worked so well when Malik was acting as a primary ball handler and was one of your floor generals when De'Aaron Fox was here? Right? What happened to that two-man game that was supposed to be the anchor and foundation of this new era of Kings basketball now that Fox is gone? Nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. Where are the DHOs? You know what the Sacramento Kings hung their hat on? What they made their identity on 2 seasons ago? You want to get back to that, right? But you're not going to play with any DHOs? How in the world did we have DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis working together at USC over the offseason as soon as DeMar became a Sacramento King, getting comfortable playing off of each other, and we don't see them playing off of each other at all? And this is not a Doug Christie problem. This has been a Kings problem this entire season. This team does not play together, and beyond that, they're too lazy to go to their own strengths. They would rather play this free-flowing, nonsensical, isolation-heavy offense that is easy to stop. And you don't have a point guard. You don't have an established floor general to run this offense effectively. So again, it looks like a bunch of people that you played with at the park. You have no idea how they play. You have no idea where they like the ball. You just get the ball to somebody, and each possession somebody else is chucking a different shot by themselves. That is what the Kings offense looks like. Again, am I bothered by the defense? Hell yes, I am. The Kings gave up 1 billion threes again tonight to the Golden State Warriors. Of course I'm bothered that they gave up 132 points. But this Kings team, not just struggling to score 108 points, but this Kings team struggling to look cohesive and look on the same page at all. This did not look like a team tonight. It looked like a group of individuals. That is very concerning considering this is supposed to be the strength and the identity of this Kings team. Domantas Sabonis had 6 assists in the first quarter. He finished the game with 9 assists. That's not just a Domantas Sabonis problem. It's because the Kings stopped running the freaking ball through him. Why? Malik Monk didn't pick up his first assist until early in the second quarter. What is going on with the floor general, the ball movement? It's non-existent. And again, DeMar DeRozan was hitting his shots tonight, and thank God, because DeMar had more points, or over half the points of the rest of the team, or of the entire team, at the end of that first quarter, which arguably was their best quarter. This second unit, featuring Zach LaVine as the leader, basically taking over the rotational spot of De'Aaron Fox, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. I know Zach LaVine had 10 assists the last game before All-Star break against the New Orleans Pelicans. I know he's capable of having big assist games when he's getting downhill and drawing the defense in, but I can't expect 10 assists or floor general nights like that from Zach LaVine consistently. I can't. He is not capable of running that second unit. The second unit was a disaster too. This entire roster looked like they'd never, ever played together before. And it's really concerning. And honestly, it looked like they had no interest in figuring it out. Doug Christie had some very powerful words. These next 2 minutes and 18 seconds, just listen closely as a Sacramento Kings fan to what interim head coach Doug Christie had to say. Listen closely to his words. We'll talk about, and I'll break down some of the things that he said on the other side.
Yeah, the message is not probably something that I could say right here, but totally unacceptable. There's certain ways that I said this, I get down in a certain way, and I expect you guys to represent that. I know what these fans appreciate and they want, and what our organization wants, and that ain't it. It ain't never gonna be it. And the one thing that you do is you play so hard that you raise your hand to come out. That's what's expected. Unacceptable was really everything. And with saying all that, it's one loss, and we got to come back. And like I said, no one's checking for us, so they don't care. This league will just step on you and keep grinding and grinding and grinding. And you have to be above the fray. And when this job was taken over, we were in a bad spot, and however many games under 500, and they, to the players' credit, they fought back and put themselves in a position to fight. So now you got to freaking fight. What you always find is I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to stand there and I'm going to say it. And I'm going to say it in front of everybody, and I want everybody to be on the same page because that's just who I am. But I love every one of those guys. I truly, truly do. I have a relationship with every single one of them, and they'll be mad at me because that's part of what this job entails. Everybody ain't going to be happy. But who needs to be happy is the fans. Who needs to be happy is them as a team, not an individual, as a team. So you can not be happy as an individual, but still be happy for your brothers. And bottom line is we have to come out and play with a sense of urgency, aggressiveness, a physicality. We have to want to win more than we want to breathe. And that ain't it.
Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the very next day. It's simple. When a player scores 50 or more points in a game during this 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off of an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. There are many ways that you could take advantage of this deal. A game day feast after an epic 50-point performance. Celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot, delivering straight to your door. Late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, maybe while you're waiting for Locked On Kings to come out. Use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. You're looking for lunch on the go while at work, fueling a watch party for the next game or whatever it may be. You can get it all done on Dash Pass and with DoorDash. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more points in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off of an order the next day up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Doug is pissed. He's not just pissed because he hates losing, and Doug also said at a different point in this press conference, he's a sore loser. He hates losing. It's always just who he's been. He's not just pissed because he hates losing. He's pissed because he's looking around, and I don't think he can fathom what we saw tonight. He can't fathom this group being so disjointed and disconnected. All the talent in the world on this roster, and they did not even look remotely interested in playing together at all. So he's pissed. Playing half-ass does not fly with Doug Christie at all. You can tell that through his words and his comments there. And I love what he said. He said, players will be mad at me. Players will be mad at me for saying what needed to be said. And he didn't share everything that he said to the team in the locker room. In fact, Doug Christie didn't come out and speak to the media until over an hour after the game ended. So words were being shared. There were conversations being had. But Doug Christie says, they're going to be mad at me. I can live with that. It's expected. But you know what's funny? Doug Christie calling this team out, saying a lot of the same things that Mike Brown said. And I'm not bringing up Mike Brown to reignite that conversation that I know you're tired of hearing of the Kings should have never fired Mike Brown in the first place. But here we are. Here we are a month later, or more than a month later, however long it's been. Who knows at this point? Here we are, and this Kings team, new players, many new faces, same problems, and very similar words from interim head coach Doug Christie that Mike Brown was saying for a couple of years, and he lost his job because he lost the locker room because some of these players didn't want to hear it. Some of these players got mad at him for trying to hold them accountable. Here's Doug Christie doing the exact same freaking thing. And Doug Christie's a players coach. Yeah, so was Mike. At some point, the roster is the problem. Their unwillingness to be held accountable is a problem, and that's not just a roster issue. That's an entire freaking organizational issue. Accountability in this organization is not good at all. Everybody goes into defend themselves mode, protect themselves. That's what we saw from this locker room. That's what we see from different layers of this organization top to bottom. When their feet hit the fire, they protect and defend themselves. It does not look cohesive. It's the exact opposite of what Mike Brown talked about in his introductory press conference when he first took the job out. This organization has a soul, and everybody has to be together, bought in, on the same page. What about this organization right now makes you think that that's happening? And here we are, back in basketball hell, as so many people like to say. I thought it was like, you think it's just me talking about team versus individual. Doug used those words. Right? He talked about as a team, we have to be happy if we're winning. Right? As a team, we have to be bought in. As an individual, you can be pissed off. But as a team, we have to buy into doing what is necessary to win. And if Doug is saying that after a loss like tonight in front of the media, you best believe those are conversations that are happening in the locker room behind closed doors right now. The eye test is not lying to us when we watch this group, not team, group of players right now that are not cohesive and not on the same page. And they do not have time to figure it out. They don't. 26 games remaining. A brutal schedule coming up. The Golden State Warriors are on par with the Sacramento Kings, and they looked leagues above them tonight. So how do we think the Boston Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder and New York Knicks and Cleveland Cavaliers are going to look when they come into this building? Hell, how do we think the San Antonio Spurs, even without Victor Wembanyama, but De'Aaron Fox in tow, how do we think they're going to look coming into this building? Not great. The Kings have the Charlotte Hornets in this building on Monday. I don't know if they can beat the Charlotte Hornets with the way they played tonight. Not great at all. I appreciate Doug Christie for what he said. I appreciate that he said we have to want to win more than we want to breathe. But I don't know if this team truly cares more about winning and the team than themselves. I'm not seeing it. I know this Kings team knows they're talented. I know this Kings team knows that they're capable of competing and making the playoffs in the West. But I don't know if they believe in each other enough to actually get it done. Do what needs to be done. Like I'm watching this team. Do the Kings? Do they believe in this version of this team? Do they believe in this roster? Because they can say it. They can say it to us in media scrums in practice, or they can say it to us before games or after games or whatever. They'll say all the right freaking things. But what matters is what they do and what their actions say when they're on that floor, especially at home in front of their own fans, taking on a rival like the Golden State Warriors. And their body language, their actions, the way they played tonight suggests that they don't believe that this is going to work. Just like I don't believe that this is going to work. They do not play like they are together. I think back to the win streak that they went on, that 7-game win streak when Doug Christie first took over after Mike Brown was fired. Right? This was before the Zach LaVine trade. This was before all these changes were made. But Mike Brown is fired. That is arguably rock bottom of the season. The team rallies together, goes on that 7-game win streak, gets themselves back into the hunt, reignites their season, right? And they do it because they rallied and fought together. Then you have the De'Aaron Fox trade going down after you got your ass kicked by Oklahoma City. This team, shorthanded, no Fox, Zach LaVine hadn't arrived yet or anything like that. They rally together, they win. I think it was in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, right? They fight, they come together, they win. Where is that? Where is that gone? Let alone think back to 2 freaking years ago, the Bean team, how together they played, how like remember the hug between De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, right? And I know Fox is gone, but like what happened to that? Where is that togetherness? Where is that belief in each other? I'm not seeing that at all from this Kings team. I didn't see any of that in tonight's game. Again, it just looks like freaking pickup basketball. So why should I believe it will change, right? I'll say it straight up right now. I think the Kings are cooked. I'll say it loud and clear here on the Locked On Kings podcast. I think the Kings are cooked. I think they're going to make it via the play-in to a 9th or 10th spot, probably 10th. I think they're going to lose that first play-in game. Their season's going to be done. And then probably jobs will be up at that point. There will be some firings happening. I think this version of the Kings is done. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be competitive over these final 26 games. They're probably going to have some good moments over these final 26 games. I'm looking at this Kings team. All my fears are being realized in front of my very eyes in a game like tonight. I do not believe in this group. I think they are done. Now, we can save this, and we can come back to this if I end up being wrong. But the one thing that is going to be truthful now, and it will also be truthful at that point, even if I am wrong and the Kings figure it out over these final 26 games and make a playoff run, what's going to be true is that there is nothing that this team is showing me right now to make me believe that that's going to change. That has to drastically shift over a very short period of time with little to no wiggle room and a very difficult schedule over the final month and some change of the season. Why should I believe that's going to take place? Even the most optimistic of you, and I'm not trying to crap on you. If you want to be optimistic and believe in this team, good on you. I root for you. I wish I could feel the same way. 100%. I wish you were right. I take no freaking joy whatsoever. Believe it or not, Kings Reddit, I take no joy whatsoever in the Kings not being good, in being pessimistic all the time, in not believing in this group, in being upset or frustrated about this future and how this season has gone. I take zero joy in it because I'm right. Oh, look at me. I'm a Kings commentator, and I'm right. Who cares? We all want the same thing. We want this freaking basketball team to be good. It's better for me. It's better for you. It's better for this organization. It's better for this city. Screw me if I think I'm better than that, or I think I'm more important. It's more important for me to be right than for all of that to happen that's good for this city and good for this organization. Who the hell am I? I promise you I don't feel like that way. But what in the world is the way this season has gone, the way this team is playing, the way they played tonight, the decisions made by this front office, what in the world suggests that this is going to turn around other than hoping and praying that this team can figure it out over the final 26 games? That's like, I don't have any reason to believe this is going to be different. Do I think they can play better than they did tonight? 100%. I hope very much so that they beat the Charlotte Hornets and then the Utah Jazz over these next couple of games. But I'm looking ahead to this upcoming schedule in March, and I have no confidence in this team's ability to come out of that and make up serious ground in this playoff race. I don't. I think they will continue to lose ground. And then when they get into the play-in, no matter who they're facing, I don't have confidence that they'll be able to beat them or win 2 games or 1 game or however many games it takes to actually get into the playoffs. If they do it, God, I hope they do. God, I hope I'm wrong. But at this point in time, I do not have any reason to believe that is going to be the case. That is the reality of the situation. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you because what the hell is there to sugarcoat? Oh, Markelle Fultz played pretty good tonight. Yeah, that's true. Great. I'm glad Markelle Fultz, the guy who just barely joined the team, played harder and played better than half of this freaking roster or over half the roster. Gee, that makes me feel better. What do you want me to sugarcoat? What about what we saw makes you think I'm going to tell you, oh, everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Listen to what Doug Christie said, right? Tells you everything you need to know. Like I said at the top of the show, today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on that action than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for an even bigger payout, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. FanDuel's live betting feature feature is great. It keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether you're backing your team for a late game comeback or picking a player to hit a clutch 3 or a buzzer beater. You never miss your chance to get in on the action. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. As expected, there were a number of Golden State Warrior fans that came into the Golden One Center, and they got to watch happily as their team obliterated the Kings, 132-108. They were treated to a great game from Buddy Hield. Hey, congratulations, Kings. Not only did you get beat by the Warriors, you allowed Buddy Hield to come in here and completely punk you. Steph Curry hit some unbelievable shots. What else is new? But he only had like 7 points midway through the third quarter. In fact, when the Warriors went on their big run in the first half to create 20 points of separation, Steph Curry was on the bench during that run. I think it was like a 22-8 start to the second quarter, all with Steph Curry on the bench. That's completely unacceptable. Draymond Green carved you apart. He was throwing out dimes left and right and chewing you out and barking at everybody, and you had absolutely no fight to go back at him. Right? Pod looked fantastic. You got cooked tonight, and Golden State Warrior fans were rightfully excited and gleeful with what they saw. Now, these teams still have one more grudge match in Golden State, or at Golden State inside the Chase Center, that will ultimately decide the tiebreaker. If the Kings win, they have the tiebreaker outright. The Warriors have to win, I think, by a certain amount in order to secure the tiebreaker in that circumstance, and that could be the difference between who's hosting in a rematch of the 9-10 play-in game from last year. It's that big of a deal. But Warriors fans were making a ton of noise here in the Golden One Center, not surprising at all with how well the Warriors were playing. And Doug Christie was asked about that. It was Brendan Nunez from Sacktown Sports 1140, a good friend here of Locked On Kings. He asked the question, and Doug had quite the response about Warrior fans taking over the Golden One Center.
You wasn't here when I played, huh? Yeah. It was the same way. And they didn't come in our building. So I don't like to hear them. And if you want to not hear them, you shut them up. And we didn't. So I respect that.
Arguably the most fun, I guess, part of the night tonight, I think Royale is coming back. Now, De'Aaron Fox, of course, was the one that famously kind of killed Royale when he was shown a picture by Fox 40's Sean Cunningham and said, "What the hell is that?" or "What the F is that?" And that kind of killed Royale, the mascot's debut, when the Kings wore their vintage or throwback blue and red jerseys. Well, there were a series of skits, teasers, suggesting Royale could be returning. Now, I had fun doing a bit here in this exact same spot inside the Golden One Center earlier this season, talking about the curse of Royale now that we kicked him out and treated him badly, that the Kings were doomed. Boy, did that end up being true. So maybe bringing Royale back will help lift the curse. I think it would be perfection if the Kings bring Royale back on the night that the Kings play the San Antonio Spurs and De'Aaron Fox makes his return here to Sacramento. That would be like chef's kiss. And the best part of this Kings organization is the in-game entertainment team, right? From Scott Moak to Mo to Scott Freshour, like the Kings dance team, like the in-game entertainment for the Sacramento Kings organization is absolutely the gold star of this organization. They kill it. They kill everything they do. They're just doing an unbelievable job. And bringing Royale back when Fox returns with the Golden State or with the San Antonio Spurs, would just be a phenomenal troll job. And hey, maybe the return of Royale means the curse will be lifted, but the Kings have been cursed for a lot longer than Royale's lifespan here in Sacramento. So we will see. I'm trying to end on a lighthearted, positive note because tonight sucked. Tonight sucked. You want to share your thoughts on how tonight went, how you unpacked tonight? If you want to just say, Matt, chill, it's just one game. Hey, man, I'll listen to you, and I'll try and agree with you. I'll try and feel better about this game when I wake up the next morning. But I guess it was just like, as I've been sharing with you over the last couple weeks, how I don't believe in this team and how I'm afraid that this team is not not cohesive, and how this just group will not work together. Seeing those fears actualized and become reality right in front of you is just a whole nother level of nightmare. And that's what I personally experienced watching this game. I'm curious if you felt the same way. Hit me up on Twitter at MattGeorgeSack. Email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com. Leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. Hopefully it'll be more fun. Hopefully it will be better. If this is the first time listening to Locked On Kings, I promise you it's not normally just all doom and gloom, but this is the reality of where this team and where this organization is at right now. We used to have a lot more fun here on Locked On Kings. We will try and always have more fun, and we'll do it. We'll ride the wave, good and bad, no matter what, together. Appreciate your support. Can't wait to have you join me on the next episode of Locked On Kings. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.